The day I got fired was my 30th birthday. When I walked into my home and casually mentioned moving back, my mother exploded. "Your sister needs this house for her wedding. There's no room for you here." The house I'd been paying for. The house that was legally mine. That's when I realized my own family was about to make me homeless. And I'm wondering, where would this happen in your world? Tell me your city or country in the comments. Subscribe for more. Then let me walk you through how this mess came to be. I packed my things and drove back to my hometown. As I walked through the front door, I mentioned to my mother that I was thinking about moving back to the city to restart my career. Her reaction was instant. "Absolutely not. Ruby is getting married and having a baby. There's no space for you in this house." I stood there shocked, trying to process what she'd just said. "But this house, I paid the down payment and I've been covering the mortgage. How can I not live here?" My mother suddenly wouldn't look at me, while Ruby stepped forward with a nasty smile. "What do you mean your house? This is my wedding home that Mom bought for me. Have some self-respect and move out." I thought she was just being difficult and didn't take her seriously. But then my mother actually backed her up with a straight face. "Your sister is pregnant, and her future in-laws demand a house before they'll agree to the marriage. Besides, you make good money. You can just work harder and buy yourself a new place." It hit me like ice water. They weren't kidding. After I shared my real thoughts, my mother seemed relieved, like a weight had been lifted off her shoulders. Seeing me standing there frozen, she rarely showed patience in explaining more. "You know your sister's situation perfectly well. Neither she nor her boyfriend have jobs, and now she's heavily pregnant. Without this house, what if his family refuses to let them marry? Are you planning to support her and the baby forever?" I still couldn't believe what I was hearing. After a long silence, I managed to speak. "What about me? I've worked hard for 8 years and all my savings went into this house. Where am I supposed to live?" My mother frowned, wearing that familiar look of annoyance when she thought I was being difficult. "You work in another city and only come home a few days each year. Your sister is a young woman who needs her own property for security. At most, when you visit for holidays, you can stay for those couple of days. Your sister won't charge you rent. She's not as selfish as you are." I felt dizzy with anger and couldn't help staring at her. "Mother, please get this straight. The $200,000 down payment and the $4,000 monthly mortgage have all come from my pocket. Plus, all the HOA fees, water, electricity, and gas bills are also my responsibility. How could she possibly charge me rent?" The whole situation was ridiculous. Maybe hearing me list the expenses, my mother couldn't keep her cool anymore. She grabbed the expensive face cream I'd just given her and slammed it on the table, screaming at me. "I wondered why you suddenly came home when it wasn't a holiday. So you came here to demand money from your own family. Do you think we're freeloaders living off you? You're successful as an older sister. What's the big deal about giving your younger sister one little house? From childhood until now, you've always been the most calculating and selfish one in this entire family." As she yelled, the glass bottle rolled from the table to the floor and shattered. I watched the expensive cream spread across the floor, and my heart grew colder and colder. That $150 face cream was something I'd never bought for myself during my 8 years working in New York. But over the past 2 months, my mother had mentioned it to me at least 10 times, talking about how jealous she was that her friend's daughter had bought her luxury skincare products. I understood her hints, but money was really tight for me. After paying the monthly mortgage and covering household expenses, plus my own apartment rent and living costs in New York, I had to stretch every dollar as far as possible. Even so, to make her happy, I gritted my teeth and charged my credit card to buy her this coveted serum gift set before coming home. I never imagined that with one sentence that displeased her, she would casually smash it without a second thought. Mother, do not pay attention to her. She is just naturally cold-blooded. The moment she comes back, all she talks about is money, money, money. And this worthless serum, you bought it online, right? It is so thin and has no fragrance. Do you really think Mother is too old to understand good brands and can be fooled easily? It is better that it is broken. At least it saves Mother from using it and ruining her face. My sister Ruby seemed to be comforting our mother, but her words were actually sarcastic and mocking. However, her comments suddenly enlightened our mother, who raised her head with eyes like daggers directed at me. Disgusting. If you do not want to spend money, then do not buy anything. There is no need to deceive me with fake products while pretending to be the good daughter. Even though I had reached the limits of speechlessness, I did not want to take the blame for something I had not done. I reached into my bag and pulled out the receipt from the department store counter, spreading it in front of them. My mother did not even glance at it before swatting the receipt away and snorting coldly. You still want to deceive me with a fake receipt? Everyone on social media has already explained that nowadays fake products come with complete packaging and receipts. Your sister is much better than you. Even without a stable income, she knows to buy me imported luxury brands. Looking at her bitter and mean-spirited attitude, I felt as though all my strength had drained away. Suddenly, I no longer wanted to swallow my grievances silently as I had done so many times before. I looked directly into my mother's eyes and asked calmly, "Oh, really? What imported brand did she buy for you? Please tell me so I can learn from her example." My mother smiled confidently. "Your sister is not cheap like you, only willing to give one bottle of serum. She gave me a complete set of Korean luxury skincare." I was stunned for a moment, then suddenly remembered what she was referring to as a luxury brand. 2 years ago, my sister had found a dealer selling smuggled goods at a low price and bought a set, only to discover she had been cheated when she had an allergic reaction after using it once. She did not dare use it herself, but was reluctant to throw it away, so she casually gave it to our mother. At that time, our mother treasured it and was reluctant to use it. She would brag to everyone about how thoughtful and caring her younger daughter was. Worried that my sister had lost money, she even transferred $1,200 to her as compensation. Later, when she finally decided to try it, her face swelled up like a pig's head for half a month, and I was the one who paid the medical bills. When I saw her suffering, I kindly advised her not to use counterfeit products anymore, but she actually scolded me for trying to drive a wedge between them. She defended my sister, saying she was just too naive and had been deceived by others, but her intentions were good. Recalling this incident, I could not help but laugh. "Oh, you mean the luxury brand that gave you an allergic reaction and required half a month of hospitalization?" My mother's previously proud expression immediately deflated, and the words of praise she was about to utter got stuck in her throat. "Mother, do not waste time talking to her. The moment she comes back, she causes trouble for us. She just cannot stand to see us doing well." My sister Ruby's face showed embarrassment as she glared at me and naturally moved close to our mother, beginning to change the subject and act coquettishly. "Mother, the atmosphere at home is so suffocating that I have lost my appetite. The baby in my belly says it wants to go out for dinner at that new fine dining restaurant tonight." My mother lovingly hugged my sister back, gently stroking her belly with a tenderness I had never seen before. Of course, whatever my darling wants, let us go out to eat. We will call your father to join us downstairs." The two of them walked toward the door arm in arm, seemingly forgetting that I was standing there awkwardly. I had just gotten off a plane and endured an hour on the subway, having been in the house for barely 15 minutes. They had quickly rummaged through the pile of gifts I had brought back, picking and choosing. Yet not one person had asked me if I was hungry or thirsty. My mother had not even remembered that today was my birthday. Since leaving for university, I had not spent my birthday at home for 12 years. Throughout my life, my sister's birthday had always been a major event in our household. My mother would wake up at 5 o'clock sharp to rush to the farmer's market, spending the entire day preparing 2 tables full of sumptuous dishes, then inviting relatives and friends to celebrate at home. On those days, my sister would receive a pile of birthday gifts and red envelopes. In contrast, for all these years, no one in the family would remember my birthday. I would always have to carefully remind my mother, and then I would receive a bowl of longevity noodles as a gift. That was all. I had never dared to expect the same treatment as my sister. This time, I had specifically rushed back on my birthday, hoping for nothing more than to eat another bowl of the longevity noodles that my mother used to make by hand when I was little. At this moment, I stood there dumbly watching the affectionate mother and daughter pair, with thousands of words in my heart but unable to utter a single syllable. Before leaving, my mother gave me one last look of disgust and impatiently instructed me. "You upset your sister so much the moment you arrived that she cannot even eat. We are taking her out for dinner. There are instant noodles in the refrigerator. Cook them yourself. You have seen everyone now. Stay tonight and go back to New York to work early tomorrow morning. Do not come back to cause trouble unless it is necessary. With an outsider in the house, your brother-in-law does not even want to come over anymore." A chill penetrated to my bones, and tears had begun flowing down my face without my realizing it. So this was my closest family, the people I had tried my best to treat well. All these years, I had struggled alone in a major city, saving money by eating poorly and living frugally. I had not even dared to date anyone. 3 years ago, I had used up all my savings and taken out a loan to buy this house, bringing my parents and sister from the small town to settle in the big city. I had done this not only to make my parents' later years more comfortable, but also to give myself an escape route in case I could not make it in the outside world. During the most difficult, exhausting, and grieving times, thinking about having this house as my backup gave me confidence and strength, but I never imagined that they would simply assume this house belonged to my sister, while I, who had spent everything to support the house, was considered a troublemaker just for coming home. Some things should not be examined too closely, because the slightest analysis of my parents' favoritism throughout my life made it impossible to deceive myself any longer. I could no longer pretend that they loved me, just that they loved my sister more. The joy of my birthday completely vanished as I numbly opened the refrigerator. Inside, besides the freezer-burned food my mother had been hoarding, there were only 2 plates of spoiled leftovers and some instant noodles from last year. To catch my flight, I had not even had time for lunch, and my stomach was rumbling with hunger. Out of habit and resignation, I turned on the stove to prepare a bowl of noodles. While waiting for the water to boil, I happened to scroll through my sister's social media. Ruby had posted, "I am about to become a mother myself, but I will forever be mother's only baby." The accompanying photo showed an intimate picture of our parents and sister, with a table full of exquisite dishes in front of them. The restaurant environment looked expensive. My mother was the first to like the post and had even left a comment. "A family together in harmony is happiness that no amount of money can buy. People who are obsessed with money will never understand this." My heart, already full of wounds, felt as though salt had been poured on it, throbbing with pain. I thought about all those moments when I had agonized for an entire day over whether to buy a $5 bubble tea, while they lived in the comfortable life I had built with my sweat and tears, spending money freely and generously. The monthly credit card bills linked to my parents always showed charges for fancy restaurants, organic produce, and premium groceries. Yet whenever I came home, I was always served the same few cheap vegetable dishes. I had questioned this twice before and received the answer: "You only give us that small family allowance each month. The cost of living in the city is expensive, and we cannot afford to eat too well." The water in the pot finally began to boil. However, I no longer wanted to wrong myself by swallowing this bowl of noodles. I poured out the hot water, took my bag, and went directly outside. I called an Uber and headed straight to a well-regarded upscale restaurant downtown. After ordering my meal, I suddenly remembered something. I opened my banking app and transferred all the remaining balance from the bank card I used for mortgage and family allowance payments. I also cancelled the credit card that was linked to my parents. Since money could not buy happiness, they should stop spending my money. Perhaps driven by emotion, I also posted a social media story like they had done, showing a table full of delicious food with every dish photographed clearly. I paired it with an equally meaningful caption. Mom, Dad, and my sister went out for a reunion dinner. Even alone, one must eat well. Then I silenced my phone, set it aside, and slowly enjoyed my meal. My parents were biased, but they also cared deeply about appearances, always insisting that they treated both children fairly. I deliberately wanted to slowly expose all their lies in front of relatives and friends. It had been a long time since I had treated myself to fine dining. After finishing the meal, my mood had improved considerably. However, when I opened my phone to pay the bill, I discovered that I had been bombarded with messages. There were over 60 missed calls and 99 plus text messages that I could not even finish reading. After scanning through a few, the situation was exactly as I had expected. After discovering that my bank card would not work, the credit card was cancelled, and they could not reach me at all, they collectively panicked and were frantically trying to find me. Even the social media story I had posted had not escaped unscathed. Besides confused comments from relatives, there were messages from the three of them. My mother wrote, "Contact us immediately, urgent." Ruby posted, "Melissa, are you even human? You eat fine dining while leaving your family to die." My mother added, "Call back quickly, reply to messages. Mother is having a heart attack." My father wrote, "Good daughter, please respond. This is truly an emergency." The comments progressed from attempts to contact me to blame, and finally to ugly insults. I found it amusing. They only wanted me when they needed something, but ignored me when they did not. This further confirmed that they only thought of me, their calculating eldest daughter, when they needed money. Since I was unwelcome anyway, after finishing dinner, I was in no hurry to go home. I leisurely watched a movie. When I returned home, it was already past midnight. To my surprise, not a single person was asleep. They were all sitting neatly in the living room waiting for me. The moment I walked through the door, my mother immediately stood up and charged toward me. Slap! A sudden slap struck my face hard. I had no defense and took the full force of the blow. My head also hit the shoe cabinet, leaving me somewhat dazed. Before I could react, my mother slapped a bill against my face. "Look at the good deed you have done. The card has no money and the credit card will not work either, and then you played missing person. We could not pay the bill at the restaurant just now. Do you know how embarrassing that was for us? Your father's and my Social Security combined is only $3,200. That one meal cost us exactly $1,200. $1,200. Do you understand?" After my mother finished her tirade, my father continued the lecture. "Melissa, you have really gone too far this time. Going to a luxury restaurant by yourself and ordering such a large spread while being so selfish is truly disappointing to your father. But we will overlook it this time. Just do not do this again next time. Hurry up and reimburse me for this $1,200 bill. I need that money for other things. My father was always like this, first putting a righteous hat on my head that left me breathless, then manipulating me emotionally until I eventually got used to being compliant and obedient just to buy some peace. But even the most sincere heart grows cold when it receives no response. This slap had completely shattered all my remaining thoughts about family affection. I covered my aching face and responded mockingly. Did you not post on social media that no amount of money can buy happiness? Then why do you still want my money? My mother was speechless for a moment. Her eyes shifted as she stubbornly continued her scolding. You were born to be a debt collector, a heartless creature who eats alone while the whole family goes hungry. Could eating instant noodles at home have poisoned you? You had to go out and waste money. Are you not afraid of shortening your life? Stop the nonsense. Hurry up and transfer $1,200 to your father to reimburse this meal. You were the one who previously told us to eat and drink well and not be too frugal. Again, whenever she could not justify her position, she would raise her voice several decibels, as if that would make her unreasonable demands sound logical. I closed my eyes, no longer wanting to argue, and simply stated the facts plainly. Today is my 30th birthday. Did any of you remember? Does anyone even care? When I finished speaking, they all fell silent. After looking at each other for a long time, my mother's complaints finally broke the eerie silence. What is the point of celebrating birthdays at your age? You have been spending your birthdays outside all these years, and you turned out just fine, did you not? What a waste of money on plane tickets for such dramatics. Besides, you are 30 years old and still unmarried. This money would be better spent buying your sister a baby stroller. Perhaps having reached the extreme of disappointment, I was no longer angry. I just stared at them expressionlessly. I would not give them this money, nor any other money in the future. I would no longer compromise and wrongfully accommodate myself just to please them. Seeing that I remained motionless, my sister lost patience and complained while pulling on our mother. Mother, make her get out. She just came back here deliberately to anger us to death. What a troublemaker. Oh no, my stomach feels uncomfortable. Could this stress affect the baby? My sister's whining was obviously fake, but it still made our parents anxious. My mother immediately turned and ordered me. Tonight you will move to a hotel. You have money anyway. Tomorrow, hurry back to New York to find work. If you really cannot find anything good, even delivering food is fine. Just do not let the mortgage payments stop. Oh yes, there is one more thing I forgot to tell you. When your sister gets married, in addition to this house, we plan to provide her with a car as part of her dowry to boost her confidence. Your sister has already chosen one. The down payment for the car is $80,000, and we will handle the loan payments. As the older sister taking the place of a mother, it is not unreasonable for you to give your sister a car. So some favoritism really is determined before birth. Without the homeowner having expressed any opinion, this house had already been designated as my sister's dowry by them, and they even wanted me to buy her a car. It was not enough to be a vampire feeding off me. They wanted to consume my flesh as well. Then I no longer needed to maintain any pretense. I spoke coldly, directly informing them. Taking the place of a mother only applies when the mother is dead. Whoever promises a dowry should pay for it themselves. Do not act like beggars asking others for handouts. Also, this is a house I bought with my money. If you will not let me live here, then you should not live here either. Perhaps they had never seen me so assertive. The scene fell silent for a few seconds. After my mother recovered, she exploded again, jumping up and pointing at my nose. "Melissa, I think you have grown wings and want to rebel. What do you mean your money and your house? You came from my womb. The money you earn is mine. I can give it to whoever I want. You would not dare be so unfilial as to kick your own mother out, would you?" My sister, seeing our mother's strong attitude, also arrogantly chimed in. "Your money is our parents' money. If our parents are willing to give me money and a house but not you, your jealousy is useless." They were brainless, but my father panicked and quickly pulled them aside, signaling them not to continue provoking me. "Enough, enough. Why are family members saying these things? Melissa is just joking with everyone. She has always been the most sensible and caring toward her parents. How could she really kick us out? Everyone should rest early tonight. Tomorrow." My father continued his endless mediation, displaying his typical false rationality. He seemed to be smoothing things over, but was actually subtly manipulating me emotionally. I could not stand listening and directly interrupted him. "I am not joking. Since I am unemployed anyway, I plan to take back this house and live in it myself. Considering that you are elderly and there is a pregnant woman here, I will allow you to stay one more night. Tomorrow morning you all must move out." Ha 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 ha! This is hilarious! The moment I finished speaking, my sister suddenly burst into proud laughter, looking at me as if I were a pitiful clown. "Melissa, who do you think you are, coming to my house to show off? This house belongs to me in the first place. I am the homeowner. What right do you have to kick me out?" I laughed too. What a joke. I had personally transferred the $200,000 down payment, and the mortgage was deducted from my account every month. How could she possibly be the homeowner? But when I turned and saw the evasive looks in my parents' eyes, a terrifying thought suddenly surfaced in my mind. However, I did not have to guess for long. My sister directly revealed the answer. "Still do not believe it. The property deed is right here with me. Look with your own eyes if they are not blind." My sister Ruby waved the property deed in her hand, like a victorious rooster, continuing to show off. "The house has been in my name for 3 years now. Letting you live here is a favor. Not letting you live here is my right. You have been living here for free for 3 years. I have not charged you rent, which is already quite generous." My father rushed to stop her, but I had already quickly snatched the property deed from her hands. With trembling hands, I opened the property deed. My entire body felt as though it had been doused with ice water, chilled to the bone. In the homeowner section, written clearly in black and white, were indeed the 3 words Ruby Thompson. I could not believe it at all. Anger rushed straight to the top of my head as I spread the property deed in front of my parents. "Mum and Dad, would you care to explain what this is about?" No wonder when I bought the house originally, my parents had volunteered to handle all the paperwork for me. It turned out they had directly registered the house under my sister's name from the beginning. I looked at them in disbelief. Even though I understood better than anyone how terrifying my parents' favoritism toward my sister could be, I still could not believe it had reached such an outrageous level. My family was gone, and my house was gone too. What exactly had all my years of hard work been for? My father stammered for a long time, but could not come up with a decent reason. He habitually looked toward my mother. My mother was as tough as always, putting her hands on her hips and beginning to scold. "Did we not tell you that your sister's future in-laws require a dowry house before they will marry her? Would it kill you to help your sister as her older sister?" I laughed coldly. But when we bought this house 3 years ago, she was not engaged or even dating anyone. She was still in school. At that time, you made the decision without my permission to register my house under her name. Could you predict that her future in-laws would require a dowry house? My mother opened her mouth but found she really could not come up with an excuse. Once again, she could only rage helplessly. You are more capable than your sister and can earn money. Give her the house and you can work hard to buy another one. Is this worth making such a fuss in the middle of the night with your parents? Just because of one worthless house, do you want to anger your mother to death? Otherwise, let mother kneel down and beg you. As she spoke, my mother made a gesture as if to kneel down. My father and sister quickly stepped forward and firmly held her back. Good daughter, stop arguing with your mother, quickly apologize and mother will forgive you. Melissa, you are so vicious, forcing your own mother to kneel to you. Are you not afraid of divine punishment? The three of them acted their parts, crying and making a scene. I felt utterly exhausted and did not want to see any of them anymore. Tomorrow you all must move out, or I will call the police. After saying this, I turned around, grabbed my suitcase from beside the sofa, and slammed the door as I left. Behind me came my mother's piercing wails that penetrated the entire building. You were born to take my life, you debt collector. You want to anger me to death. I quickly walked outside the apartment building and immediately called my lawyer friend. I consulted about how to handle this kind of property dispute and needed to get my house back as soon as possible. The hand holding the phone was still trembling slightly from anger, but my mind was clearer than ever before. After getting advice, I knew what to do and planned to immediately organize the relevant evidence when I returned. On the Uber ride to the hotel, I did not waste time either. I immediately listed the house on real estate websites, planning to sell it for cash as soon as I got the property back. I no longer wanted to live this kind of life, carrying a mortgage for others. After settling the house issue, I also checked and froze all the bank cards that had ever been linked to family members, transferring the balances to a new account I had opened a few days earlier. I also cancelled all the family sharing plans I had set up for my mother and sister. Just after finishing these tasks, I came across social media posts from my parents and sister. Ruby posted, "Being my parents' daughter in this lifetime is truly a blessing. Some people care only about money and not family, and they deserve to be alone forever." My mother wrote, "From now on, I only have Ruby as a daughter, everyone else is dead to me." My father posted, "Heartbroken, one daughter is unfilial, what misfortune for our family." It seemed they were also quite angry. Even though it was almost dawn, they were still suffering from insomnia and posting on social media. I could imagine that when relatives woke up the next day and saw these posts, the family group chat would be filled with lively condemnation of me. They wanted to continue using their old tactics, mobilizing relatives and friends to morally blackmail me into submission. That was fine. I had been accustomed to being submissive and accommodating my whole life. After doing all those things, I still felt somewhat reluctant deep down, worried that I had been too ruthless. But thanks to these social media posts, I no longer had any psychological burden. After all, it seemed they wanted to cut ties even more than I did. How ridiculous. All these years, I had been foolishly sentimental, naively wanting to grow into a big tree to provide shelter for my family. I could never forget that Thanksgiving when I was 10 years old. During the family reunion dinner, my father was ridiculed by relatives until he could not lift his head. What good does it do to have an excellent daughter? Without a son in your family, you will have no one to take care of you in old age. Your family line will be extinct. That night, even my usually strong mother secretly wiped away tears. From that moment on, I secretly vowed to make my parents proud of me and to give them a better life than those relatives with sons could provide. To achieve this goal, I studied hard in school and worked desperately after graduation. I still remembered the day we moved to the big city 3 years ago, when my mother was triumphant and my father was spirited. From that time until now, there was not a single relative who did not envy my parents for having such a good daughter. That was also the only day I could remember when my parents praised me all day long and never stopped smiling. But even so, what did it matter? After they moved into the new home, their good mood only lasted 3 days before they began complaining that I should not have bought this house. I was baffled at the time and only learned the reason after questioning them. My parents thought the homeowner association fees and utilities in the big city were too expensive and were reluctant to spend their retirement money on them. My mother even complained that I had bought too large a house, which was too tiring to clean, unlike the practical 800 square foot 2-bedroom apartment back in our small town. I felt sorry for my parents' advanced age and limited retirement income, so I gritted my teeth and took on these housing expenses myself. I even paid for professional cleaning service once a week. Only then did they stop nagging and settle down comfortably. Memories flashed before my eyes one by one. The contrast was too stark, and I could not fall asleep no matter what. With anger burning in my chest that I could not release, I thought about how all the appliances and valuable items in the house were things I had bought. Since I could not sleep anyway, I found photos of everything and listed them all on online marketplaces at 10% of their original price. The only requirement for transactions was that buyers had to come pick up the items themselves the next morning. Originally, if my parents had not secretly given the house to my sister and had taken the initiative to admit their mistake and split the mortgage payments in half, perhaps I would have continued letting them live there for their retirement. But now, with this family of bloodsuckers, I would not be soft-hearted anymore. Having such complete photo documentation was actually thanks to my mother. She had posted pictures of all the nice things I bought to the family group chat to show off. Probably because my prices were ridiculously low, even though it was now the early hours of the morning, many people came to inquire. Most people suspected I was selling fake goods. Televisions, refrigerators, and washing machines worth thousands or tens of thousands of dollars, some only used for 1 or 2 years, could be bought for just a few $100 or $1,000. But after I provided purchase receipts and explained that I was having an urgent house sale, the bargain hunters stopped hesitating and quickly placed orders, buying everything. Afraid I would change my mind, they arranged to come for pickup the next day. I simply scheduled everyone to come at 9 o'clock in the morning. They could look everything over on site, and if there were no problems, they could take their purchases immediately. According to what my mother had mentioned earlier that afternoon, my sister had a prenatal checkup the next morning, and my parents always personally accompanied her to the hospital for every checkup. While they were away from home, it would be perfect timing for the transactions. After handling these matters, before logging off my phone, I deliberately went on social media and liked each of their posts, leaving the same comment on all of them. Then let us cut ties. Perhaps driven by my urgent desire for revenge, I only slept for 3 hours but did not feel tired at all. I returned early to the apartment building and waited downstairs. After seeing my parents and sister leave together, chatting and laughing, I quickly went upstairs. It seemed they had not taken seriously what I said yesterday, treating even my social media comments as jokes that they shared in the family group chat for everyone to criticize me. The elders naturally all sided with my parents and came forward to educate me. After all, they often said, there are no parents who are not good in this world. My parents went along with their words and came out to complain about my various unfilial behaviors, calling me An old maid who studied books until they went to her stomach and now recognizes no family. Most of my peers were too lazy to get involved, except for my cousin who casually asked an offhand question. Uncle and aunt, I am quite curious. You say Melissa is unfilial and only cares about money. Then why did she buy you a house in the big city for retirement? She seems so foolish, not knowing to keep the money to live better in New York herself. My parents fell silent. Only my sister angrily jumped out to make her presence known. Mum, when I have money in the future, I will buy you a mansion. It is just one broken house. Who does she think she is, acting like it is something rare? I laughed coldly but did not have time to deal with them because 9 o'clock had arrived and the customers I had arranged to meet were all here. They had not come empty-handed either, bringing helpers directly for moving. After looking at the merchandise in the house and confirming there were no problems, everything was immediately snapped up. Television, original price $2,400, current price $240. Refrigerator, original price $4,000, current price $400. Sofa, original price $3,200, current price $320. Even small appliances like rice cookers, blenders, and hairdryers were all disposed of together. Oh yes, I also did not spare my sister's baby crib and expensive toys. Last night during my sleepless hours, I had casually checked the billing statements for the cards linked to my parents and discovered something shocking. I had not only supported this house but many of my parents' and sister's major expenses, including baby supplies my sister bought and even her prenatal care costs, were all charged to my cards. No wonder my mother would urge me to top up the cards every few days, either complaining that groceries had gone up again, or that fruits were too expensive to buy, or saying she wanted to buy some supplements but did not have enough money. Like a fool, whenever they complained a few times, I could not help but rush to pay and please them. In less than 2 hours, the entire house had been cleared out. When building management saw people moving, they specifically came to ask a few questions. After learning it was a garage sale, they also grabbed a few items. After handling everything, I was fortunate to find the original purchasing paperwork in my mother's vanity and took a taxi directly to a law firm run by an old classmate. I brought the purchase contract, invoice, payment transfer proof, monthly mortgage payment records, the power of attorney I had written to my parents 3 years ago when handling the property deed, and a forged document claiming I had voluntarily transferred the house to Ruby. Fortunately, they had not thought I would fight to the end after discovering this, so they had not been too cautious. The authenticity of fingerprints was also easy to verify. The lawyer assured me that he had 100% confidence in getting the house back for me. When I finally felt relieved walking out of the law firm, I received a call from the police station. "Is this Melissa? Your parents have reported that you stole all the valuable items from their home." The police officer informed me with some difficulty that I needed to go to the police station immediately. When I arrived, my mother saw me and immediately rushed over, raising her hand to hit me again. Fortunately, I was prepared this time and directly moved behind the police officer. After the police officer seriously warned my mother, she did not dare to hit me again, but she began to howl. "What a sin, you thief! You took advantage of us being away and stole all the valuable things from our home. Police officer, please arrest her immediately and give her a life sentence. If she is released, she will only harm people. She has made her sister so angry she cannot get up." The police officer ignored her unreasonable behavior and questioned me directly. I admitted to disposing of the household items second-hand, but also produced payment records and receipt proof for every item. "Officer, this house and every item in it, worth more than $40, was purchased by me. I now want to dispose of my property. Is it not legal for me to resell them second-hand? After the police officer reviewed the list I submitted, he did not say much, only advising me to communicate with family members beforehand next time, before disposing of anything. When my parents saw that I was fine, they exploded. "She is a thief! Why are you not arresting her? Did she bribe you?" The police officer patiently explained for a long time, but my parents could not accept it. Even if she has the bills, once she gave those things to us, they became ours. How can someone give something away and then sell it themselves? She has no right to do this. She is stealing. I could not stand it anymore and asked my mother just one question. Which item in the house did I ever say was a gift to you? Have you forgotten? Every time I mentioned giving you something as a gift, you would rebuke me, saying, "Do not talk about giving us gifts. That is your house, bought for yourself. We are not asking you for anything." Do not deny it. I have chat records as proof. Since you all said these were things I purchased for my own house, then when I dispose of them now, you have no right to manage that. My parents looked at each other and could not counter with a single word. I never imagined that their former moral blackmail would one day become the shackles that left them speechless. Walking out of the police station, I took a long breath and composed a formal message to send to the family group chat. Dear elders, I apologize, but due to my parents' favoritism, 3 years ago, they made the decision without my consent to register the new house that I made the down payment and mortgage payments for under my sister Ruby's name. I simply cannot accept that my lifelong struggle has been donated away like this, so I have decided to formally sue to recover the property rights to the house. I am also formally informing everyone that from now on, I, Melissa, am completely cutting ties with this family. They will bear all their debts themselves. Please do not contact me again. After clicking send, I decisively left the group. I thought that breaking family ties and leaving the group would bring me peace. But I did not expect that after I entrusted the lawsuit to the local lawyer and returned to New York alone to work. Actually, when I had jokingly mentioned being unemployed and returning home, I had just been recruited by a competitor with double the salary. The handover period had given me some vacation time. So when I returned to New York and started at the new company, I changed all my old contact information and threw myself wholeheartedly into the new work. Life gradually returned to calm. From time to time, my cousin would secretly tell me that my parents were searching for me all over the world, complaining to everyone about my disloyalty and lack of filial piety, claiming I had cut off the family's financial source and was trying to force them to their deaths. Even more outrageous was that I had actually taken my own parents and sister to court. During the lawsuit period, the house was also temporarily sealed, leaving them homeless without even a place to live. I wondered aloud, what about our old house in the hometown? They can go back to the small town. My cousin laughed dismissively. Them? They are reluctant to let your sister, who is heavily pregnant, be without a house because her future in-laws refuse to marry her. They would rather rent a studio apartment themselves and sell the small townhouse, using all that money for your sister's down payment on a new house. Now the old couple's retirement income is all going to mortgage payments. Even so, the in-laws are only barely satisfied. They really wanted the 3-bedroom house from before. This 900 square foot 2-bedroom is indeed not impressive enough. Your parents spend their days with one person going out to collect recyclables to sell for supplementary income, while the other serves as a nanny for your sister and brother-in-law. At night, they rush back to their rental to sleep because that weird brother-in-law will not let them live in the new house, claiming they interfere with his freedom. I found this amusing. Although I knew it was more important to focus on my current life, I also felt this was somewhat satisfying. A loving family should stick together, which was quite nice. They are still looking for you, but when they called your old company, they were told you had resigned long ago. You should be careful. I did not take it seriously. New York was so big and they had neither money nor energy to find me. But I overlooked the fact that desperate people always find potential and have their own channels. The day after I successfully won the lawsuit and recovered the property rights to the house, I was leaving my new company when I saw my father standing by the flower bed. In just 3 or 4 months, he seemed to have aged 10 years, looking hunched and elderly. When he saw me appear, he approached with a pleasing smile, but his tone was urgent. "Melissa, are you off work? Your father has finally found you. There is an emergency at home. Can you come back with father for a visit?" I looked at him calmly and said without hurrying, "I will not go, I am busy." He anxiously grabbed my arm. "Your mother is hospitalized. She was assaulted by your sister and brother-in-law, those 2 heartless animals. Your mother worked like a slave for them. Your brother-in-law was annoyed that your sister had gained weight during pregnancy. When they argued and your mother tried to help your sister, your brother-in-law beat her up. But your sister not only failed to help your mother but actually sided with your brother-in-law and forgave him on your mother's behalf. After they returned from the police station, the 3 of them continued fighting. In a fit of anger, your sister pushed your mother down the stairs. She herself also slipped and had a miscarriage on the spot. What kind of sin is this? Your mother is now disabled, paralyzed on one side and bedridden. Your sister and brother-in-law will not pay a cent. Your brother-in-law, seeing that there is no baby, even wants to divorce your sister. I have no money left now. I cannot even pay your mother's hospital bills. Please come back with me first to advance the payment. When I receive my retirement money next month, I will definitely pay you back." After listening to his long rambling complaints, I remained silent throughout and did not express any position. If it had been the former Melissa, I would have rushed home without thinking the moment I heard there was an emergency. But the current Melissa, upon hearing about these family chaos situations, felt nothing at all. We cut ties long ago. I said not to look for me anymore. I will have my cousin deliver the monthly alimony on time. You can sell your sister's house, and then you will naturally have money for hospital fees. When my father heard me not even calling him father anymore, his eyes immediately dimmed. He knew I had made up my mind not to turn back and desperately began crying in the street. "Melissa, when did your heart become so hard? Yes, your parents favored your sister, but you also got the house back. Your mother knows she was wrong back then and is lying in a hospital bed. When parents encounter disaster, you cannot just ignore it completely." I frowned and asked back, "I used to manage everything, but you thought I was immature. Now I do not manage anything, and you want me to manage again." My father was crying with tears and snot flowing, even showing me a video of my mother paralyzed in bed. In the hospital bed, my mother was barely breathing. "Melissa, Melissa, please come back. Your sister is not human. I was wrong. I will work like a slave for you from now on." I felt nothing. I could see that she only thought of me now because she needed someone to work like a slave for her. When she drove me away initially, she did not say things like this. My father thought I would be easily moved by a few kind words like before. "Melissa, I know we wronged you before, but you are living so well now. That is also credit to your parents for raising you. People cannot be completely without conscience." I suddenly laughed, and as I laughed, tears came out too. "I am living well. Did any of you care how I survived all these years? In your eyes, there was only my sister. You only cared about her feelings. In your eyes, I was never anything more than an ATM machine. Do you know how many times I moved in New York, and how remote and small the places I lived in were each time? I desperately worked hard while eating poorly and living frugally, just to support that house, so you could live comfortably in your later years. You knew that house cost me all my savings, and was also my backup plan, yet you casually gave it away to my sister, with one sentence. Where was your conscience then? My father really could not hold back anymore, and after holding it in for a long time, managed to squeeze out one sentence. Melissa, you have been excellent and strong since childhood. Your sister is naughty, and did not have grades as good as yours. Your parents favored her a bit more to level the playing field, so that the two children in the family would not have too big a development gap. I was amused by his words, and looked at him coldly and indifferently. Thank you for making a special trip to tell me that I was not favored because I was too excellent. After saying this, I had no more attachment and walked away with my head held high. In the end, only my father remained, crying alone in the wind, mumbling repentantly. How did life become like this? How did it become like this? I did not want it to be this way either. If only I had paid more attention to you back then, it would not have come to this today. After the house was awarded back to me, I quickly sold it to a couple who needed to move in urgently. After selling the house and paying back the bank loan, I managed to cash out several $100,000. Although there was no profit, at least I did not lose money. With the real estate market in a downturn, I decided not to buy a house for now and to let myself live better in New York first. After my sister's miscarriage, she seemed to wake up considerably and was no longer love-struck. After they fought back for the property, the three of them lived together again. But the economic pressure was too intense, my mother was paralyzed in bed, and relatives and neighbors were unwilling to interact with them. The three of them constantly blamed each other, with chaos at home every day and not a moment of peace. Besides fulfilling my basic obligation of a few $100s monthly, I never went back again. Soon after, I even applied for an overseas branch transfer because I wanted to see a bigger world. I always thought that as long as I was excellent enough, sensible and filial, no matter how much they liked my sister, there would come a day when they could see me. But later I realized that day would never come. Fortunately, I no longer expected it. That's our story for today. We hope you enjoyed this incredible tale. Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Subscribe for more captivating stories like this, and don't forget to like and share this video. Thank you for being here with us. See you next time.